Look, I've got a question. For the Senate, for the Congress, for the President, for the State of Oregon's Senate, for the State of Oregon's House of Representatives, for the Governor of Oregon, for my local community in Clackamas County, and for generally everybody who I have to deal with. This includes the administrators who run the Veterans Administration and all the other organizations that I have to deal with. Folks, do any of you have any brains whatsoever? Do any of you understand the ramifications of the actions that you take on a daily basis? I'd like to know, because based upon the evidence that I have seen in my daily life, it would appear as though none of you have any brains. It would appear as though there is a vacuum that exists between your eyeballs. Because as I look out and try to understand the situation that I am exposed to on a daily basis, a situation where I have a mother who will have her water and power shut off on the 13th of December and the 20th of December unless I can miraculously come up with hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. Now, why is it that my mother is in such a financial hardship? Explanation. My mother is awaiting the death and indemnity compensation benefits from the United States Department of Veteran Affairs for the death of my disabled father. Now, on September 26th, a document was submitted through the Disabled American Veterans Office in Portland, Oregon, inside of the Veterans Administration's administrative office in Portland, Oregon, on the west side. Now, aside from the complexities of trying to get down to that godforsaken office, with very nice and lovely people, mind you, who work there, surprisingly enough, considering the evidence that the government in recent society and recent history would make one believe, there are those administrators who work in offices that are capable of being sane humans. However, I am not speaking of these sane human beings. I am not speaking about the representatives, the people who actually help me on a day-to-day basis or help my mother with her claim. I'm talking about the people in St. Paul. For you see, this is what happens. My mother and I, for I am the person who has to deal with all of these situations for my poor sickly mother, because of course at 64 years old, dealing with the godforsaken stress that she has had to go through, watching her husband, in many respects a very ill man, taken from her by more bureaucracy, it is understandable that she would be overwhelmed. That said, I am in a situation now where I am trying to help my mother deal with the absurdity of the United States federal government. An absurdity that is not politically biased. It does not matter what party you are affiliated with. It does not matter what party you elect. It is irrespective of any of these notions. The system is broken either way. Or I suppose, as some might argue, it is not broken. It simply benefits those who are in positions of power who can best donate and attribute their wealth to the continuing perpetuation of the system's status quo. I'm sorry. I'm not wealthy. I'm poor. My family is poor. And yet you continue to fuck us day after day after day. My 6th great-grandfather did not fight in the American Revolution. He did not help to write the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and act as the first Supreme Court justice just so this crap could continue. Just so you ignorant and bigoted people could continue to rape and pillage. That is not what this country was founded upon. It was not founded so some bureaucrat can lose my mother's paperwork after 2 months and deny her again after it took 3 months waiting through the local bureaucracy to get a death certificate for my father after his wrongful death under another set of bureaucrats. It is wrong. And to think that I sit here day after day trying to deal with this just inhuman action, or perhaps it is human, and that's what's so wrong about it. It's that it's so commonplace in society today that people can get up and continue to walk over people again and again and again. Well, I can't handle it anymore. I can't handle the wrong, the belligerency, the blatant disrespect for civil rights. My mother does not deserve this inhuman treatment, this level of incompetency. It is wrong that she be threatened to be cast out into the street simply because her son is doing everything he can to fight for her as her only living advocate. Because a bunch of bureaucrats are too busy dealing with their own self-opulescence, or self-obsolescence, or self-stupidity, or whatever you want to call it, to do their job. They don't care. They don't care whether my mother is struggling. They don't care if my mother is alive or dead. She's just a number. Well, she's not. She's a person. She's scared. I'm scared. And I'm trying to do everything I can. All I want is just what is rightfully my mother's, so that she can live comfortably. So maybe I won't get tossed into the street. Yeah, I'm on disability too. Welcome to the world. What's my disability from? Well, for one thing, I tried to take care of my dad. And he was so fucked up from Vietnam, and from his dad, who was so fucked up from World War II, that 3 generations in, I'm a little fucked up. It's called life. I work at it. Your grandfather is a prisoner of war of the Japanese. Tends to screw with your mind. Your father worked in special operations and got exposed to a lot of Agent Orange and spent most of your entire adult life at least, completely fucked up, barely able to walk and move, and spend most of your childhood fucked up and barely able to be a father. Well, that'd cause some problems. And then as you continue, well, I've dealt with a lot of problems. I can't really illustrate them all in a brief sentence, but I'd like to know, what are my representatives doing? Because it seems to me like they're focused on a lot of some things I could say reasonably related, reasonably meaningful, but a lot of the things it seems like they're just dick dancing and wandering around and placating the establishment. Well, get off your asses, you fucking curs! People are suffering. I'm suffering. My mother, my poor 56-year-old disabled mother, is suffering. So, to the president who wants to go and start more wars and bomb the fuck out of people who I'm friends with, by the way. I have friends in the Middle East. Yes, and no, they're not Israeli. I mean, some are Israeli, but quite a few of them are not. And if you're going to spend your time bombing the shit out of people who really don't need to be bombed, mind you, personally I would not like my backyard bombed. And that said, I do not want what little tax money that isn't being peddled off to the highest bidder to some corporate outrage and conspiracy, or whatever you want to call it. I'd much rather it be used for something valuable in my community. Maybe, I don't know, fix some of the potholes. Start with something basic. You know? I don't know anymore. All I know is that I'm tired of this, and that my family is suffering, and I'd like some help. And I'd like to no longer have to go to my church and talk to them about my situation, and have people manipulate me. Because, well, frankly, they're screwed up too. And I don't know anymore. But I'd like it if people would just start acting their age, or if not their age, then acting responsibly in general. Because this is getting old. And it continues. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, century after century. It continues. And it has not changed. And if it does not change, there may not be a human race left to enjoy the benefits and the potential if it were to change.
Just a thought.